Donald Trump. Let's go.
Trump now speaking after day one of jury deliberations. Let's watch.
Tonight in the Biden witch hunt. Take a look at where the people come from. It's a Biden witch hunt. It's weaponization. So it seems that there are a lot of witnesses, a lot of people that they could have called that they didn't call. Now, they didn't call them, obviously, because they would have been very bad witnesses for them. But take a look at the list. Because of the gag order, I won't go down into individual names. But you have a lot of big players, very big players, that would have solved their problem or actually would have given us the win. We already have the win. If we had a fair judge, this case would have been over a long time ago. But a lot of key witnesses were not called. Look at your list. Look at the players. And you know who I'm talking about. You can take 5 or 6 of them. Why didn't they call those witnesses? They didn't call them because they would have been on our side. And it's a shame. And in particular, one witness who's now suffering gravely because of what's happened, because of the viciousness of these thugs. The vicious people, what they've done to that person. And you know who I'm talking about. And they didn't call him as a witness. They didn't call anybody as a witness. And all these people they could have called and solved the problem. The other thing, the confusion is, nobody knows what the crime is, because there's no crime. Nobody knows what the crime is. The DA didn't name the crime. They don't know what the crime is. That's what the problem is. It's a disgrace.
All right, so let's talk about this. All right, let's talk about Trump. Okay, so he was charged with 34 counts. Right, 34 counts in the New York courtroom. And New York is definitely a Democratic city, and I believe the judge was liberal and stuff like that as well. So let's talk about it, man. So I'm sure this is a day that a lot of the Democrats were waiting for, right? You know, Trump has been pretty much making his way through the court system. You know, he may lose a case and he pays someone off, or not pay someone off. He pays what is told to him, right? New York just tried to pretty much take a bunch of money from him. Then he settled. Then he paid that money. And then he's now inside of a court case for Stormy Daniels. Like, you know, the part that really kind of like, you know, the part that really makes me like really laugh. He's in a court case about hush money for an adult film star. Like, nobody cares about her anymore. The fact that she's an adult film star. They don't care who comes at Trump and who does whatever, as long as they can try to take him down. They don't even care about the character of the person. Like, this is Stormy Daniels, y'all. Like, this woman has no talent other than a video that she creates for people that want to watch her and do things. Like, come on now, bro. Like, she's an adult film star. Like, man, I'm sorry. Like, women with that profession, they're not to be respected. That's not a respectable career, right? Now, you might try to say, well, he was doing all this, he was married and all that stuff. I have nothing to do with that man's bedroom and anything else. But I'm like, Stormy Daniels, right? It's funny. I tell people, I tell my guys that got to be careful of the women, because a lot of men's downfalls have come from a woman, right? Who would have known that some girl that he did something with years ago, right? It was like before the election. Or I think it was before the election, whatever. It was never brought up until after. Some adult film star, right, who does this on camera for money, wants to take down Trump. All right. So we will see what happens, right? Now, people want him to go to jail. People were saying that normally they don't go to jail for things like this. And I won't be surprised if anything. But I also won't be surprised if Trump wins in the election. Like, I just won't be surprised. I think that there's a lot of political sabotage going on, financial sabotage. Like, literally since he got out, there's just been 4 years of him fighting. And I think people have started to realize that a lot of what's going on with Trump is a little unfair, and it has nothing to do with him as a politician. It's what you guys want to take him down as a person. And it gets to a point where people start to say, well, how bad is this guy really? Right. And so Joe Biden has nothing to run on. Right. Like, man, can we just be honest and just take off your political caps and say, what does Joe Biden have to run on? Right. The migrant crisis is absolutely insane. The economy is not the same like it was when Trump was here. The economy is not that great as much as people want to try to force you to believe so, right? If you watch CNN all day, they'll tell you otherwise. The economy is not that great. Migrants are running all over the place, right? We got wars that are about to start up. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff is about to happen left and right. And the only thing that they have to run on is that Trump is a criminal, that Trump becomes a criminal. We use that against us. We try to get the media to paint this guy to be the big bad wolf so that they don't necessarily vote for Joe Biden because they like him. They vote against Donald Trump for Biden. How many people have you heard that have said, I'm not voting for Biden, I'm just voting against Donald Trump?
Sensational.
And don't tell me you haven't heard that. Don't tell me you haven't heard anyone say, I'm only voting for Joe Biden because I don't like Trump. So what you're telling me is you don't want to necessarily listen to anything this guy has to say. You don't care. But you'd rather vote for this guy here because he seems less of a threat. He seems not to be a big issue. Or I will deal with whatever he's got over Donald Trump. And I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense, right? When it comes to apples and apples, we can see what Donald Trump did when he was in office. Where was the economy? What things are issues now that were not an issue when he was there? And what has Joe Biden done? Joe Biden cares about everything when it comes to the diversity, equity, and inclusion program. He acts like he doesn't know anything. The man is slow. His own party is concerned about his age and his competency. And meanwhile, Donald Trump is still the primary candidate for the Republican Party. And he's just fighting so that he can get into that debate room and get to the polls for November. And I think this is all a distraction so that he could be not on his game when he goes and debates Joe Biden. You know, I think they're just trying to wear this man out financially, politically, and everything else, man. But I don't think the plan is going to work, right? I really don't. I think he's already lost some court cases, right? When you have so many of those court cases, you're not just going to be winning them all, right? As long as you win the important ones, right? You even got Fannie Willis out there doing the worst, out there having sexual relations with, Nathan Wade and paying this man over $650 million. And now all of a sudden, Nathan Wade want to start coming out singing against Fannie Willis now that she done booted him off of the case. They out there got corruption going on down there, and they go vote for her again. She's rerunning again, Fannie Willis, and you're going to put her back in office. So there's just a matter of just take Trump down by any means necessary, right? And it gets to a point where it's like, are we talking about politics or person, right? Here's what I'm going to end this off on, because I had this conversation again on Memorial Day, and it was a healthy conversation. I'm not really, gonna, die over this stuff. What I'm saying? Like, I'll have a debate and I have a difference of opinion, so it will cause and more of an uproar. But there was a debate in Memorial Day about Trump versus Biden, right? And someone at the table was kind of talking about the Democratic Party and Joe Biden, and I sat there for quite some time. And the moment I spoke up and I said, well, Biden does X, Y, and Z, and I was like, I think Trump is a better candidate, the table erupted, and I kind of sat in the fire by myself for like 5 minutes, and then my cousin was kind of on the same page, like, yeah, bro, I'm for Trump too. And somebody else was there too in the background saying Trump was better, but I was pretty much in the fire with just me and my cousin. But they just don't like the person of Donald Trump. But meanwhile, when we look at Joe Biden, people tend to forget that this man has been a politician pretty much his whole life. He was around during the desegregation, and he was saying how he didn't want his children to go to school with blacks and called us predators. The 94 crime bill. This man has said so many of the most racist things to us as a black community. And all he has done is just adapt to the time, right? So whatever's going on, he's just tried to be a chameleon to, oh, we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and no one knows their gender race. I'm Joe Biden. Let's act like we don't know what that means, and let's support them. If we're against the blacks here in the 1950s and 60s, I'm going to act like, well, I'm going to say we're against the blacks. Anything for him to get into that position, right? And then you get Donald Trump, who comes there and he's just being honest with you. He's just saying, listen, he told black people that some of y'all schools is trash. Is that not the real deal? Some of these schools, have you seen DPS? It's not even a DPS anymore, Detroit Public Schools. He was just saying the truth about what is going on, right? And he's trying to help the schools. He's trying to figure things out, but he's being honest. And this is be for the American people. You got the Democrats acting like they're for the black folks, and they make y'all feel good during campaign season. And the moment they get in office, they put you on the back burner. Ask Ice Cube about that. Ice Cube had a thing called Contract for Blacks, and he had an entire thing roped out for how he wanted to help the black community. Donald Trump said, if we are back in office, we would love to review it, but right now we are trying to win the election. He went to Joe Biden's team. He even was in contact with someone there, and he said, when we get in office, we will for sure go over your contract for blacks. What happened? Joe Biden got into office. Ice Cube tried to, get in there. They never would answer his calls, and they never went back to him and wanted to review his contract for blacks. They put him on the back burner because they say all these things for black folks. They put black folks in front of the camera and then get their endorsements, and then they put you back here. Kamala Harris is not even for the black folks. She's to appear that way, right? Make sure y'all hit the like button for sure. So it's like, come on, man. So one person is clearly a racist. One person shows clear racism. Joe Biden is clearly racist. Like, the dude has been a senator for so long, then became a vice president, didn't know what he was doing. Now he's president. There's an entire history of all the things that this man has done racist, including getting onto a black radio station, predominantly black radio station, saying that if you don't know to vote for me or Trump, then you ain't black. And guess what black folks did? They voted for him.
Audio Jungle.
So I just think that black folks like to be swindled. They like to complain. This is why you're putting Tiffany Henyard in office out there in Dalton. And you got Fannie Willis down there in Fulton County out there bagging it up for Nathan Wade and up there paying him $650 million. And he's not even qualified to be on there. But y'all love corruption. And then y'all getting mad because y'all just putting people in office because they black or they mentioning black in their agenda, but they're not doing things for the black community. So anyways, to take it back to what I was saying, we started talking about person and we didn't talk about politics. And I told them straight up, listen, I don't put none of my stock in Trump and I don't put all my stock in Biden, right? At the end of the day, it's about politics. It's about black and white and what are they putting forth? I don't care about the person. The man can go on TV and say, take bleach or disinfectant. And I'm going to say, guess what? That was a dumb thing to say. But people say dumb stuff all the time. But what are you putting in play that makes sense? And the best analogy that I will say, and I will get off of this topic right now, is I said, if I have to go to work and I don't like my boss, do I quit my job because I don't like my boss? But the policy and the rules that they have benefit me and my family? Do I quit because I don't like my boss? I don't like I don't like what he wears. I don't like what he or she says. No, that's being emotional. I find out what the policies are, what the company is giving me, and I continue working and I work around it. I know how to do two things at one time. And that's the analogy that I have when people start talking about Donald Trump. I say, I don't have to like Donald Trump. I don't have to like him. But what is he doing when he is putting things together? Is he working? When he gets in office, is he putting stuff together? That's it. Stop talking about person. Stop talking about what you like about a person. I don't put stock in people. People will make you disappointed, is what I'm trying to say. People will make you disappointed because no one's going to do the same thing that you would do if you're in that situation. But at the end of the day, what are their actions? Right? He may show up with a shirt that says, I hate Jay Jones. Right? Cool. You don't like me. I'm cool with that. I can live with that. But if he makes a policy that says, I hate Jay Jones, but you know what? As long as he follows all these things right here, he could benefit from this as well. I don't care about what the heck the person is, or a better analogy would have been, if he comes in and he says something dumb, am I going to disqualify him from doing the work? No. Like, man, get out of here. So that's the end of my show. I'm going to get off this thing.